Hey everybody, this is Davis with Con Freaks and Geeks, and I would like to welcome you to another episode of Pop Culture Gems. This is a series where we talk to amazing creators, artists, cosplays, voice actors, and so much more. If you like the interviews we do with these amazing guests, you can give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the CFG channel, or you can either go to our main website, confreaksandgeeks.com, to listen to it on any podcast services out there. Today, my guest is behind several voices in gaming, anime, and even live action Japanese films. He voiced the cocky martial artist Suryu in One Punch Man, Sango's younger brother Kohaku in Yashahime, the princess half demon, the slick and crafty Makoto Edamura from Great Pretenders, and is currently playing the samurai Tsubaki in the Crunchyroll original Fena Pirate Princess. I would like to welcome Alan Lee to the show. How are you doing, sir?
Wow, that was impressive. My goodness. I'm doing great. Thank you for knowing my roles and all that. I was like, wow, who is this guy? Oh yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. I play a lot of characters. You're right.
I'm
Sometimes
pretty
you just gotta
sure.
say it out loud.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure there's so many characters. You're like, yeah, it's like, wait, I do remember that. Wait, maybe not. But it's like, I definitely understand them, and you can't keep up with all of them. But you know what? I will say this because I say this to everyone I come in when I interview. That so one of there's a character that you played in a game that I've been playing for like an RPG series I've been playing called Trails of Cold Steel. And,
Right.
And but just by chance, because I don't even look this up, but like everybody I've been like talking to on this podcast, like I've been noticing, I've been like randomly like grouping up the people that have been like the cast of Trails of Cold Steel without knowing that it's the cast of Trails of Cold Steel. So so my friends always
that game has everyone in anime, so don't worry about it. That makes sense.
Really does. Yeah, so my friends were like was noticing this too, that they were like saying, okay, we're just gonna call it 7 Degrees of Trails. So every character that you get, we're just gonna put a little check mark like on the cast line to see if you're gonna go through the whole cast. And I'm already, you're like number 11 of the group.
Oh
So
my
I was
goodness.
like, wow.
Oh
yeah,
my
so
goodness.
I was like, yeah. But it's freaking cool. It's freaking awesome though. I love it. So but it's freaking awesome. But let's get this. Let's get started here. So we'll start off with an easy one here. What got you initially into voice acting?
Oh. Oh man, that's a long story. But no, I'll give the Cliff Notes version. Basically, you ever watch a film, Office Space?
Oh yeah, classic.
Back in like 2000, and like and it's like a dark comedy about office culture back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
My brother was like had just recently graduated from UCLA and came back home in NorCal where we were, and we lived together, and I thought it was great. And then I realized he was like getting a job at a dead end, like startup tech company. And so I saw my brother in that film. And so when I watched that film, it scared the crap out of me.
Oh, wow.
It scared the bejesus out of me. No, seriously. And so I was like, oh my God, if I like, that's real. That's real. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was seeing it in real time, and he would just come back just sullen and drained and just wanting to like drown his worries away in computer games and all that sort of stuff. Nothing serious. I'm 10.
Oh my
9,
God.
10? Yeah. Okay. It's a rated R film, but I mean, he rented it from Blockbuster. No, I might have been 11. I don't know. Wow. It's around that time. I mean, that's when the movie came out, and then so like to have it come out on Blockbuster probably took a few months after. So I don't know, but it's around that age, and we were watching the film, and it scarred me. Because I saw my brother in it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to figure out what I want to do in life." Otherwise, I'm going to end up like this. So that's what prompted me to search and figure out what I want to do. It took me a long time. It took me about until 2007. So close to 7 years to figure out something for myself. But between that time, like I tried doing things. Like I was like, okay, let me read into like what it means to be a writer. Like that's where I started off, because I was like, oh, maybe I love stories. I want to play these stories and I want to write them out and all that sort of stuff. So I tried writing, didn't work. I like burnt out real quickly. Didn't realize it wasn't going to work out for me. Tried art, realized I couldn't draw a straight line with a ruler. Realized that I couldn't read any type of programming language. Like I'm not naturally skilled with it. I have no clue how anyone is. Because I know it's in English and numbers and all that sort of stuff, but I have no clue what any of it means, and I hate myself for that. But I tried that, and I was like, no, there's no way I can do any of this. So I talked to my cousin, who is an editor in Hollywood, and he was, I was like going down the list with him, being like, oh man, I tried this, and I can't find anything, and I feel like I'm running out of time, because now I'm getting close to the age where like I got to think about college and stuff like that. So, he was like, well, how about you figure out where all those things come from, and then like find the through line with it, and then figure out what you want to do, maybe within that through line as well. Like that's how you should figure that out. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was brilliant, because I realized, oh, they all come from like childhood, right? Like, like watching cartoons, watching a whole bunch of TV, playing video games and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. What should I do? Like, so I thought about what I should do, and I was thinking, well, what was the most fun people had when they were a kid? And first answer that came to my mind was playing pretend. Everyone played pretend as a kid, and everyone was great at it. And I was like, how about that? What if I was the character? And I was like, voice acting, sure. So I went to like I'm from NorCal, and I'm from San Jose, and I went up to San Francisco to take an intro class at a conservatory, because there happened to be a voiceover conservatory in the city, so.
Wow, in 07? Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, right? Like, and it had been around since like 2000. So like, so yeah, no, it was great, but like, or maybe even before then, but like, there was just a conservatory, and it was like 45 minutes away on a train. Got there, took my first class, and the first time I stepped up in front of a mic to do like a tag that they have you do at the end of a intro class, I realized, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Oh.
And then while I was still in school, I took voiceover classes, and I actually stayed behind to go to community college so that I could continue going to that conservatory. And then, and then the rest is history.
Man, but I'm just surprised that it's like at 10 or 11 years old, it's like you had a wake up call in life. And you're
right?
Just
it was like I woke up in the Matrix. I was like, oh,
it's just
you
like,
figure
oh
this
my
shit
God.
out now. Yeah.
Well, like you said, if you were living with your brother, you saw that firsthand. I could easily understand the fear of that.
Oh, yeah.
Automatically. But wow, that's crazy. That's really cool though. Like, I mean, so when you found what you were wanting to do itself, I mean, like, you said it took you like 7 years to kind of get to that point. I mean, and that's kind of natural. I mean, you're still like 17 or 18 during that time, so it's like,
right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a really cool journey. I kind of like how you described it throughout the way, but yeah.
Thank
you. Yeah. And I mean, and growing up, like what shows or gaming, were you into?
Like, are we talking about like cartoons,
anime, comics, manga? I'm talking about like all pop culture related. Like, what were you in? Like, what kind of stuff were you into?
Lot of stuff. I mean, oh my. Okay, so let's start off. So let's start off where anime came into my life. I've always had anime. Like here's the thing. Like, I wish I had. Like, how like everyone goes through school, or like, like middle school, like when they get to middle school, or I feel like is when like a lot of people like have their awakening with anime and manga, and like just become an otaku or like a weeb or something like that, and they just cling on if they resonate with anime, it's around that time because it's like, okay, like I'm a little more grown up. I can watch this. I can stream it or download it or whatever, right? Everyone had their means of finding anime.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of my friends who continue to love anime discovered it around 5th, 6th, 7th grade. 8th grade, maybe early high school, right? Like that's when they were open to that. I wish I had that where I was like, oh man, I watched Naruto in '02, and like, yeah, that was a great time to see all these people, like suddenly fall in love with this culture and obsess about everything about it. I never had that moment. I grew up in a pretty racially diverse area, and like I used to be basically neighbors with the small Japanese community in my area growing up, because it wasn't too far from the Korean part of town.
Right.
And so like I watched Dragon Ball in Korean first, I think. Like I remember watching, VHS cassette tapes of Dragon Ball before Dragon Ball Z came out in America. And I had no clue what was going on because I couldn't understand the language
Right.
and read the subtitles fast enough.
Uh,
So I was probably watching the movies before I watched anything else, which is weird to me looking back. But
I mean, well, like to be fair though, in the '90s, I mean that you kind of dated yourself, which is like the '90s itself. The '90s was like it was the infantile state of like anime was getting
from the
bigger in
90s.
America.
I'm not gonna fake it and be like, yeah, I'm from the 2000s. No one's gonna believe that. Yeah, I was from the 90s. Represent, man.
Yeah. But like, so, but I'm saying that like I'm just saying that like during that time, it was really hard to get anime though. Like, I mean, even regardless of towards that stuff. It, like,
I went to a. Oh yeah. Sorry.
Oh no, that's all good. Oh, so my first and like when I watched Dragon Ball Z, I had to watch it 6:00 in the morning on the Spanish channel, and I had no idea what the hell I was listening to either.
Oh, that's sick. That's sick. Yeah. No, but like that's like again, watching anime had been part of my like growing up, so I didn't know the difference. I was like, oh, this is in Japanese sometimes, and this is in English sometimes, and this is in Korean sometimes. I watched Totoro first time in Korean as well, and so I grew up with it. But the first time I watched anime was a show called The Guyver.
Oh I remember that.
Yeah,
I know The Guyver.
That was bloody and disgusting. And by the way, I just recently went on eBay and bought the old Guyver series, like the OVA series,
the original, like the anime or the
the OVA series from like the 80s.
Oh my god.
yeah. Just because I'm like, this is part of my childhood, and I have to like show people, because people nowadays have no clue what the heck the Guyver is, and how crazy disgusting and amazing 90s anime, or like 80s and 90s anime were. So like I bought it. And it scarred me. It was I started off on the episode, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but I started off on the episode where they kill the Guyver halfway through the series. And it was traumatizing to watch him just get like turned into like mush. And
it was mushy. Man, that anime.
Oh yeah, they break him down. They break him down with acid, and I was like, oh my gosh. So this was around when I was like 3, because some of the older boys in the neighborhood got a VHS tape of Guyver, and we started watching it, and we're just like, oh, and all that sort of stuff. That's what I remember. That's like when I like kicked into gear for that. But growing up, oh man.
At 3?
3? Yeah. Yo, I remember stuff from 3. That's crazy, right?
Oh my god.
But yeah, no, I mean, like I watched, so I mean that's where I started off with anime. I think I watched Toonami, and I think that like watching all that in English, and like that entire block being so amazingly cool,
the original,
like really, really stuck with me. I remember when Toonami was first airing, I think in '97.
Yeah, right.
Gosh, I'm old, but no, I'm joking. No. It's fine. No, and then I think I had Moltar first as like the host.
Yeah, man,
and they were showing like Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Or like Space Ghosts. I think I don't remember.
No, you're right. It was Space Ghost Coast to Coast. It was like an animated like talk show. Kind of weird format with the old Hanna-Barbera character. I do remember that.
Right. I think they had that on there. I don't remember, but they had really old cartoons, and I was like, okay. And then later on, when I revisited the channel, like suddenly, there was like Tom One, voiced by Sonny Strait, and then like I was watching Ronin Warriors. I was watching like Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z and all that sort of stuff. And rewatching Dragon Ball Z in English with the Bruce Faulkner music was like life changing. It really set it as like oh snap, this is like the stuff to watch.
Though during that time though, like have you ever heard? Did you know that there was Dragon Ball had a weird history. Like Dragon Ball Z had a weird
I'm familiar
introduction. Like
I might be part of that weird history.
Do you remember the ocean dubs of Dragon Ball Z back in the day?
Dude, are you kidding me? I still try to find those ocean dubs. Are you kidding me? Like I would love to have them on DVD so that I can show. Because I'm fascinated by the fact that there's multiple dubs for the same show, especially in English. Because it's, to me, and I didn't realize this back then, but to me, it was fascinating because it was like, wow, like there's so many ways to play a character or like to even do a show. And so to find like, the Canadian production and then the Texas production and even like the UK production and the Hong Kong production or whatever else. They like everyone had different visions and like different varying degrees of like, I guess, success with how they translate Dragon Ball, but like
but the ocean dubs just blows out the water.
The ocean dubs were like special because it was the first time I heard it in English. I mean, I think everyone did, right? So
it was a weird one.
No, it was weird.
I love the random censorship that they did in it. Like, because they were like, I think they were all about not showing kids death. So like, so there's parts where they added dubs and where it's supposed to be quiet. Like when someone dies, they'll say, "Oh look, I see their their parachute coming out of the sky or whatever." It's like,
oh my gosh.
It is amazingly bad. It's hilarious though.
Yeah, no. It's interesting. I mean, especially because I think it was weird because the 90s were simultaneously both the time where like you got a lot of censorship trying to protect the kids, but you also got the craziest anime to work with where they showed everything. I showed a colleague of mine Wicked City, and which is from the guy who did Vampire Hunter D. No, exactly. Like recently I was like, dude, 90s and 80s anime are like on a different level. This is like the golden era of animation back then.
You're like City Hunters, Gulligle 13.
Yeah, exactly. But I was showing him Wicked City and he's just like, so this is porn. And I was like, not really. I mean, it's not porn like explicitly, but like, yes, there are graphic images and like there's a bit of nudity involved, but anime, like growing up in the 90s, watched Toonami and then got into Gundam, got into like what was it? Everything on Adult Swim back in 02, 03. I watched Inuyasha for the first time on, like at 11 o'clock at night on Saturdays. And speaking of which, it's interesting because I watched Inuyasha and like from the beginning, or not really from the beginning, but like around that time. And I remember catching it every week until Kohaku showed up. And because I was around that age, I latched onto the character as like my sort of like, oh, I'm gonna like play pretend in my own head as this episode is going on, to sort of be in his shoes, because Sango was my favorite character. I had like a crush on Sango.
Who didn't?
Yeah, exactly, right? Sango's best girl. But like, and then flash forward 18 years later, and now I get to play Kohaku, and that was a trip.
Good full circle though in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but like in like the 90s, like especially the late 90s, I think I kind of like, it's funny because like every time I kind of get into this discussion with people, I kind of feel like the 90s anime was like the beginning of, because I mean America has always had anime, but it was very
Yeah, in some
spotty.
form.
Yeah,
Right, right,
very
right.
very spotty. Like it wasn't consistent until the creator of Funimation started buying the rights when he bought Dragon Ball Z from Pioneer back in the day. Like was the
Mhm.
beginning of like consistency. So like we were starting to kind of see more, like, you know, we gradually started getting more anime, like until to like today, where we're getting almost a 1-to-1 of like what they get in Japan to what they get,
Right, right.
we get here. So I mean, it was cool. I mean,
Yeah, we're
I think,
spoiled.
yeah, we are incredible. Now there's oversaturation. Now we got a part. Now we're at a part where it's like, oh my god, there's so much to watch, so we don't know what to watch
Yeah,
or whatnot. You know?
absolutely. I can't have a conversation about anime with my friends anymore because we watch radically different things now. And it's just like, oh, did you watch this season? I was like, dude, I'm still catching up on My Hero. I can't talk to you right now. I don't have the time. Like, but
Yeah,
like,
especially for
like,
you. I mean, wow.
yeah, and like, there's just so much out there, and it's impossible. I feel like it's impossible unless you do it as like your full-time job to like really watch and understand and know everything. Like, I'm not a YouTuber like Giguk or like,
Oh god, yeah.
or Mother's Basement, like where they watch everything and they're able to like analyze and review it. I can't do that. Like,
They did it as a career, though. I mean, for what they're
yeah,
doing, and so
exactly.
yeah, for me,
So unless you have it as a career, I don't know how you do it. No.
yeah, I got to a point where I was like, you know what, I can't keep up with any of this, so I'm done watching. I
Mhm.
like, if I have a chance or an opportunity, if I wanted to see a series, I'll just read anything that I'm interested in, and but like it's not like, you know, keeping up with like, you know, 10 different series and stuff, and just be like, okay, here you go. It's like,
Right,
you know,
right.
one consistent series, and I'm cool. I'm
Yeah.
cool for the most part.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man, but
yeah.
that's cool though. I mean, that's cool. That's very interesting, and I now know that you love gore from in
I
the
don't, no,
'80s
no,
and
no,
'90s.
no, no. I love the animation, like the quality of animation. I'm not in love with all the gore,
Uh-huh.
because I think in the '90s, like in the '80s and '90s, they're just like, yeah, we have plenty of money, do whatever the hell you want, and so they're
Hmm.
like, artists. The artists I know, at least, like if they're given full free reign to do whatever,
Hmm.
they just make it bloody disgusting, and they make it as
Yeah.
like as possible, right? So
Yeah.
interesting era.
I remember Ninja Scroll is the one that always come to mind for me. The
Oh
original
yeah, yeah,
Ninja
yeah.
Scroll movie. But did you know that they made a Guyver live action movie with
Yeah,
Mark
with Mark
Hamill?
Hamill. Yeah. That's
Oh
so
man,
weird. Yeah, yeah, I watched it too, and
it, it's not good.
it's not good. It's not great.
It's not good.
It's not great. But like, it's like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna show friends like the screenshots instead of the Guyver,
They
because
were
at least
trying,
the costume looks kind of right, right?
kind of,
So
yeah. It was actually kind of messed up because that was actually after he had that really bad motorcycle accident.
right, right,
So
right.
yeah, so he's all makeuped up and everything, and they're like, "Why the hell are
Yeah.
you even here?" Anyways, but I mean, and like I said before earlier, you were in The Great Pretender. You play and that series. If anyone has not seen Great Pretender, you need to watch that on Netflix. It is a really, really good series, man. That series not only is not only a roller coaster of action and strategy, but also like a lot of emotion and like character building in that is incredible for as many people that were in a part of it. Could you describe like your character, like Makoto Inamura's like complexity, and like what did you think when you first read when you read for him?
Oh man. To explain his complexity. I mean, like, he goes through so much. He's just a dude who like just gets hit square in the face by life, right? And it's not like it's like quote unquote society's fault, although it kind of is, because of because of our reluctance to embrace people who have like criminal history or criminal backgrounds or anything like that. And so there's a commentary of that.
Hmm.
But like the fact that like the system sort of rigs people who are down on their luck to end up doing things like this, like where it's less savory and sort of stuff like that. And when he finally figures out, like, because he starts off pretty cocky, being like he's the best swindler in Japan, but like when he gets swooped up by Laurent, and goes to LA to chase his money out of pride, and gets roped into like, drug conspiracies and Hollywood mafia and all that sort of stuff, and realizing he's way in over his head. Like he legitimately every single time wants to just quit, but the life just keeps bringing him back, or like the lifestyle just keeps bringing him back into the fray, as well as just Laurent, because I don't know, he's a horny Frenchman. But no, it's and like he's a good person at heart. He just like he's just misguided, and I think there's just a lot of deep anger with the character when it comes to dealing with his past and dealing with people and who sort of reject him, and so there's this bitter quality about him, no doubt. But but he's lovable. He tries to do the right thing, which is weird because like to be a con man, you have to have no conscience to pull these things off. But like I get it, it's anime, right? So
right. But I mean, just kind of like in the beginning with him, for me, like I've always thought like he was a very, like, at first I did not like him because I was just like, wow, this is very like, this guy's just really too cocky for his own good. But then when you kind of seeing I think it's the second season, which I love the second season. They show more I think the last heist, or the heist before the end of the series, like it was basically he's undercover in the part of the mafia, like you're saying, but then they just reveal a ridiculous large storyline of like his history, like his family and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, it's very relatable on all the stuff that he was dealing with.
Right.
It just hits you. It's like, oh, okay. Okay, Mike isn't that bad of a guy,
Yeah. I think what makes him enduring is also the fact that he gets his ass kicked like every episode. Like in one way or another, he's getting the short end of the stick, and so it just makes for good comedy because like he's being cut down from the Hollywood sign. He's like he's what is it, like getting his ass kicked by like thugs. He's he's held at knife point, gunpoint, whatever else, and just gets smacked around. And so I think, like it kind of softens him up to the audience.
Yeah.
And the comedy is the reason why I it's special to me because I get my ass kicked a lot in that show. And every time I have to do a funny reaction or like like something, it just brings me joy. So, but
cool.
No. I mean, he's, I think as you go along with the series, he becomes more likable, and he's just wholesome. He's a wholesome little bean.
Very much so, yeah. And I mean, and also like I said earlier, like one of the characters you played was the villain McBurn in Trails of Cold Steel series. Yeah. I have to say though, your voice reminded me when I remember his character. Like I knew it wasn't Steve Bloom, who was like the voice of Spike and stuff, but like your voice was pretty close to it to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, and like how I was. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no! Sorry, keep going.
Oh, I was just wondering because like I mean, how I'm talking to you normally to like how his character was itself, it's a completely different octave, like of just natural, like, or a different like style of how he was talking. Like, is it difficult to change the voice range? Was it difficult to change the voice range?
I mean, it's as hard as it is going falsetto, and so not really like because you just breathe into it, right? So. Trying to get down into it. You just relax it. That's all you do.
Really?
That's all it takes. That's really, I mean, like that in practice, right? Like I practice in the shower. Because like I'll try to go as low as I can. I'll try to go as high as I can and stretch my range while I'm in the shower. And because it's like warm and a wet environment. That sounds like that's weird, but like a wet environment, like you're like, oh, I'm rehydrating, but at the same time, I'm like stretching my vocal cords. It's nice, like I don't sing in the shower per se, but like I'll do voices in the shower. But yeah, no, interestingly enough, I don't get to be asked about a whole lot about McBurn because I only played him for one of the games.
Yeah.
Prior to me, I mean, like it was Max Middleman, and that guy has range, and and to try to fill in those shoes was a interesting journey because like I have huge respect for Max, and we've crossed paths, and but like man, every time I chat with him, he's a great guy. He's a great upstanding guy. So it was an honor for me to try and like sort of do a character that he had done before. It's nice. But yeah, I think part of it is trying to own the character yourself, right? So like you have to you have to find the balance between staying consistent with what the character has already been, but as well as trying to make it your own. And I think what we got was pretty good,
Oh yeah, I mean, you did a really good job. I mean, like I did, like I mean, like the when I found out that there was two different people that played them, I was like, wow, okay. So no, very good on consistency with it itself. So, and I see that you also did like voice dubbing over some live action films. Like I know you voiced Aoshi in Rurouni Kenshin, the live action movie.
Right.
Like, are there like? You're the first person I've actually talked to that actually have done live action dubbing before. So like I don't
know if that's true. I feel like if you're dubbing anime, you're probably also dubbing live action as well on the side just to make more money.
Well, I was doing my homework. Like, I'm always like,
no, I totally get it. I totally get it. But like a lot of people don't announce their live action roles because one, it's not anime, and two, who's watching the English dub for foreign films these days? Point. I don't know. But it's there. It's there for accessibility. It's great, and like heck, we get paid, so what does it matter? But like, I embrace the live action side of stuff, and like there's so many characters that how could the same people not doing anime not do the
that's a good point.
Do the live action. But I played Aoshi. I played the lead for some Korean dramas. But anyways, I don't even know what the question was. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was going to ask you because I was like, in anime, how it is. I mean, when you're in a session in anime itself, you have to match like the lip flaps and all that stuff and all the things like that. Like, I mean, but in a live action series, it can't possibly be the same way, right? Like, like what's the trick to the trade on that to kind of match up?
It's both similar and very different. It's similar because you're still looking at lip flaps. You're still looking at lip flaps, but like they're not drawn. They're so like to match the lip flap as well as possible, it really depends on everything before the actor comes in. So, like the people who write the script and adapt it, the director who looks at it and was like, so there's like there's a few steps before the actor gets the script to ensure that the lip flap sort of matches the mouth movement. But sometimes we'll sit on a line or like a monologue or whatever to make sure that like you can kind of get away with it, right? There's that weird uncanny valley where like they're speaking, but they're English is coming out, and you kind of want to hit that point where it seems natural because it's it's live action. And you want to make sure that like if they end on like a closed mouth, it ends with a closed mouth sound versus an open mouth. So for example, like if they end with like a closed mouth sound, it might not be like there might not be an O sound at the end of that sentence. And if there is, they're like, okay, we have to reword it so that like he ends up closed. So we look at that stuff more often. Not saying we don't do that with anime, but there's a little more leeway with anime just because it's three frames of actual like mouth flappage. Whereas like I don't know, in live action, there's like a whole bunch where you're like, oh, he kind of looks like he's doing an R or like rolling his tongue or something like that. And so you have to end with that note or, like fake it as best you can.
Man, is there like any multiple takes? I can only imagine there's a lot of takes on that when it comes to doing stuff like that, because that seems like it's a lot harder and a lot more time consuming, isn't it?
It's like doing it's not that different, but yeah, no, I mean, it absolutely is different. It's just when you're in the job, you're like, okay, it's just a different set of rules. Right. But the mechanics are the same. So, like it's a bit of both, yes and no. It is, I would say there's a lot more nuance involved when it comes to making an English dub for live action, as in comparison. But like we're still hitting the same 30 lines per hour or whatever that they need. But yeah, I mean, it's similar and it's different. It's just a different. It's just different gears.
Media in itself. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And, I mean, is there anything that you learn now in your career, like later in your career in the voice acting, that you would have, you could tell yourself when you just started getting into it initially?
There's a lot of no,
sorry.
There's a lot of no, it's totally fine. There's a lot of personal things that that I'm like personal professional things that I would remind myself of. Like I've had plenty of teachers, tell me everything that I need to know about the business, but I wish I could remind myself of that. And I if I were to go back and tell 17, 16, 17, 18-year-old Alan on, on how to find success, it's just keep doing it. Don't be afraid of anything, because you're going to make mistakes, and chasing perfectionism isn't going to help you. If anything, it's just going to hold you back a few years, and you don't want to do that to yourself. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's get your hands dirty early on, and man, I don't know. I'd like to say that even back then I knew sort of I had the tools of figuring out and navigating the earlier parts of my career, but it's not until I did it for so long that I actually built the courage to just go forward and keep doing it. And I think that's sort of the secret to success, right? You just keep doing it, even if you suck at it, even if you're mediocre at it, right? Cause everyone has to start somewhere. And I think when I was younger, I sort of tried to chase perfection and chase a sound, rather than really focus in on what's more important, which is just keep doing it and focus on the things you're supposed to focus on, which is the character and the story. So, I would just give myself reminders more so than oh, I didn't know this thing back then and that I know now.
Right. That makes sense. I mean, just kind of keeping yourself know where you're coming from on that, and just go and just remind yourself on it from time to time. Makes sense. And I mean, do you have any kind of project or dream role that you're wanting to be a part of, or is there something that's out there that you're oh man, I can't wait to be? Yeah. What would that be?
Oh, if I were to be, well, first of all, I mean, dream roles, I would probably say Nightwing from the Batman series. I'd love to take a crack at Dick Grayson. He was my favorite character in Batman.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool.
I'd love to play Ninja Turtle. I'd love to play any of them, but I mean, my favorite's Raph, but I don't think I have a Raph voice unless they go back to the 87 version where he's sarcastic, instead of just really, really grumpy all the time.
Oh,
so, yeah. We'll see, right? Yeah, I'd like to see a version where they meld the two versions, where it's sarcastic, but kind of also hot-headed. That'd be an interesting take for me for Raph. But
who did Raph in the 80s? Was that Rob Paulson?
That was Rob Paulson. Paulson, yeah.
Yeah.
In 2003, I think it's Wayne Grayson. I want to say, and then yeah, in 2012. My gosh, I can't even keep track anymore. I
don't even remember. Like, I stopped at 80s. Like, I personally
no, the 2012 one's really good. I wish I had more access to it. Yeah.
Oh wow,
it's pretty good. The 2012 one's pretty good. They brought Rob Paulson back, and then he was playing Donatello. So it's worth it's worth a look. So
was that the one
else?
that they had? What's his name? From American Pie.
Yeah. He played Leonardo.
Okay, that's
the one. He played Leonardo. Yeah. The guy,
okay.
the main guy, right? Like from American
Jason
Pie.
Biggs.
And then he played Leonardo for a bit, and then Seth Green took over.
Seth Green? Well, really? I did not know that. That's cool.
Not Seth Green. No, is it Seth Green? Yeah, it's Seth Green. Seth Green took over as Leonardo.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I need to see that series.
Yeah. What else? Man, I'd love to go back and what else? I want to revisit everything that I played as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like, some of these things survive. So I'd love to be part of like Dynasty Warriors. I'd love to be part of a Gundam franchise. That would be pretty fun.
Tight. That would be
tight. What else? Yeah, it's just like things that I'm familiar with.
I'm sorry you didn't say Guyver yet.
I don't want to be the Guyver. I don't want to play Show. I'd rather not. Like, because that's, I don't know. Like, I'm that one can stay in the past. It's perfect as is. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's like one and done. There you go.
Yeah. Oh man, is there any other character? I don't know. Like I for the longest time, I don't know. I just want to get involved in really cool projects, and I feel like I've already accomplished that, being fan of Pirate Princess as well as Great Pretender. So, Great Pretender was so good to me that, like, because of the circumstances that were surrounding it, it made it lightning in a bottle. So I consider it like my Cowboy Bebop, in the sense that it's like high quality. I got to like flex. I got to explore and go through everything that I wanted to as an actor in that one show. So if I were to never get anime again, I'd be okay, because I got Great Pretender. Like, I had my one. And
that show was so good, though. I mean, like, the one thing I've always hated about anime was pacing, and like, like storytelling, like how it's like Dragon Ball Z powering up for 3 episodes, that kind of stuff, like irked me a lot. But like, for even though the Great Pretender was 2 seasons long, and I think even in 2 seasons it was only 13 or 15 episodes. It wasn't even a lot.
Well, it was so. I mean, they just split. It's called seasons because of Netflix, but like, it's really just one show split up into 2 core, where it's like 12 episodes and then, or like 14 episodes and then 9, right? So it's 23 altogether.
Yeah, like, I mean, but like, it wasn't a full 26. I know it was not 26, but it was just like a 13. It was still a 13 episode, like a short series. But then it showed, like, it had 5 different heists that showed like multiple people's story progressions that made you like relate to the characters, which is incredible to me, because like, you don't see that a lot every day, like a lot when it comes to series like that. I mean, you see like One Piece, they do it, but like One Piece is at 1,000 episodes, like
right.
They've stretched that out ridiculously, I mean, and I forgot the name of it for the life of me right now. I can't remember. With the Trigger, there was a Trigger anime that like had 3 story arcs in less than 26 episodes that just did progression great. So I totally agree with you. I mean, I think that Great Pretenders is definitely like up there, in my opinion, as one of my favorites, because of like how dynamic that story was, and you knocked out the park too. So.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, but like, because of that, I'm like, I'm gonna do anime for as long as I want, because I love anime. But like, I'm okay like moving on from it too. Like, I want to be involved in more, video games and original prelay. And so there's like a whole bunch of that, and including the stuff that I talked about. But a fighting game, I guess, like, I'd love to be a character in like Street Fighter. That'd be really cool. Or like the Marvel Versus series, like that would be dope.
Yeah, you're totally right.
Mm-hmm. Like that's the dream where it's like you're able to play your own character and it's you, and you're like, yeah, you know.
I can see you as a Marvel character though, like a Marvel versus character. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, someone on the Capcom side. Yeah, no, I'd love to take a crack at it.
Yeah. Nah, you gotta be Marvel, dude. It's Team Marvel. It's called Marvel versus Capcom.
Yeah. I know, but who would I play in Marvel? I actually have no clue because like everyone's either like really old or like or weird, and so it's like, you know, like I don't know, like I have no clue who I'd play in the X-Men unless it's like a kid, right? Like because if you think about the animated series, like I can't play Wolverine. I'm not gonna play Cyclops unless it's the X-Men Evolution version where it's like a teenager. But
that's a good point. You could play Rocket Raccoon.
I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that to the professionals. I'm gonna leave that to the professionals. I don't want to play Rocket Raccoon, man.
How about Star-Lord though? Would Star-Lord work?
Star-Lord? Yeah, I guess, but like I feel like I'm a little young. I mean, like, because like it depends, right? Comic version, he's a lot older, right? Like, and then.
Well, that's the thing about comics. They don't. I mean, like, well, Marvel was just. They just threw it out. They can make it whatever they want you to be. Like at that point.
Sure. If they have Shang-Chi in a video game, I might play him. Right? Like, who knows? We'll
Iron Fist could work too.
Iron Fist. Yeah, I could do that. I mean, I guess.
See, you're not even feeling it, so no, that can't work.
Yeah, no. I'm open to anyone. I'm really more of a Capcom fan than I am a Marvel fan.
Oh, okay.
But because of the Marvel versus series, I became a Marvel fan through the process of that.
That's a good point.
But yeah.
Well, like, what would you see in the Capcom side though? Like, I'm thinking like, what, Chris Redfield?
No. I'd love to play I'd love to get a crack at like a type of Mega Man. I think that would be cool. Like even if it's not X, because X is played by the guy who does Dan Hibiki for some reason.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's the same voice actor, and I'm just like, oh, really? Like they got Johnny as like Zero. I mean, again, no offense to the actual actor. I'm just saying, like, oh man, I wish I could play that character. Who else? Like
you could be like Guts Man.
If Kyle had to ever step down from Ryu, I'd love to take a crack at. I'd love to be Alpha Ryu, like Street Fighter Alpha Ryu.
Oh, Alpha Ryu. Okay.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Because that's the one. That's the version that I grew up on, and so like I loved playing, you know, like Alpha 2 and 3, and his appearance in Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's
who
a
else?
good point.
Who else? Jin Satome. Like if he ever comes back.
Oh, Jen, like the old guy, the old Jen with the purple,
all white. Yeah. And he has his neck. Dude, that guy is so badass. Like, I'd love to play him.
Yeah, no one knows what that guy was though.
Who cares? He's so badass. He's just angry. He's in all white and he's just really angry. That's all that matters. And he like
why is he taking his clothes off? Yeah, just he has a fundoshi on and that's it. What's going on? Oh my god!
You don't question those things, man.
That's a good point. just accept it. All right, and I mean, and during the pandemic itself, I mean, I know it's affected people differently during this time. Is there anything that you've learned during this period of like this? I won't say down period because I know that y'all are always busy when it comes to it.
Yeah, we became busier during the pandemic than I did more stuff during the pandemic than I've ever done like in a single year before that. So
really,
yeah.
That's weird.
Well, no, it makes sense because they're like, oh, we need voice actors, and so like we need people with setups, and not everyone has a setup. You know, like and suddenly, you know, like Texas is opening up its borders to like LA talent. You know, and then there's also the appropriate like casting movement that's going on where like they're trying to find Asian voice actors for Asian characters and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I found a bit more work during the pandemic. But sorry, you were asking about what I learned about?
I mean, is it something that you picked up? Like, I mean, something extra that you may have just like, you know, picked up because of the staying indoors or anything like that? Like anything new or?
I realized through a number of shows that that people are just winging it in this industry. No one knows what they're doing. But that's the secret to Hollywood, right? No one knows what they're doing. You just sort of make it up as you go along. And I realize that when it's like, okay, you know, like we're doing the show and like, oh crap, like, you know, like Pro Tools broke down on our end and like the internet's being a jerk, or like there's like a garbage truck outside. And like, you know, and so I don't know, like it just feels like, you know, like we're always hanging on the skin of our teeth. And I realized, like, I knew that from the beginning. I knew that from the onset, but like, but going into it, like, it really showed me, oh man, everything's held together by like some string and popsicle sticks. Yeah. Yeah. No, but you know, but that's how, you know, like, if that's what you do, that's what you do. But like, it just shows me that, like, man, like, it's not as well structured as it seems to be. It's really like people are just trying to wing it. People are trying to make deadlines, right? No one's thinking about some like grand Machiavellian scheme about like where people should be in terms of their career. No, it's like literally, hey, this project needs X amount of people. Let's pray that they have setups. Let's pray that this, you know, like this holds out, and then we make deadline for Netflix because Netflix wants everything yesterday, but they're giving you only like 2 months to do 26 episodes.
Wow, really? That's how strict Netflix is? Dang.
Netflix. Oh man, I wish I could tell you outside. I'll tell you outside of this podcast.
Okay, that sounds fair. We'll spill the tea outside.
Yeah, because I still want to work for them. Don't worry, don't get me wrong. I love you, Netflix. Like, no, but yeah, no, like it's just seeing sort of like behind the scenes of everything going on, and you know, there's just because there's an element of uncertainty during the pandemic of like how long we're going to be doing this, and if people go into studio anymore, or like, you know, it changes the dynamic of you interacting with production. But yeah, you realize that like it's held together by the people who are just trying to figure it out. That's it.
Yeah.
You know.
But now, I mean, like, look at it now, though. I mean, like, when you really think about it, like, because of the pandemic, there's a new aspect that's now been introduced into it. Like you said, it's like a lot of voice actors made home studios. I mean, you have a setup at home now too. Like, I mean,
I have a glorified blanket fort. That's what this is. I make great pretender in this booth. All right, like
you literally MacGyver. Let's say you MacGyvered it. How about that? Like,
yeah.
But you still have
this stuff's from Home Depot. Are you kidding me?
There you go. I mean, but I'm just saying that like now people are might be subjective to be like, may not ever going into the office and may wanting to do it the way that y'all been doing it for like, I guess in the past year and a half. I mean, probably like year and a half, 2 years, right?
I hope it's an option, because I know some people who like had to drive from the OC to all the way to Burbank, which is like 50 miles.
Wow.
Just to work, and now they don't have to. They just go into their closet and hit record. But I'm really like, I'm fortunate because I only live like 10 minutes from all the studios.
Oh wow. So nice.
You know, I moved just in like right where I am right now, right at the nick of time, because like you know, the places I was at before, like if I even was late by like a month, it wouldn't have happened, and like I would have lost out on some gigs because of it. But yeah, like I'm lucky enough to be close enough where like it doesn't matter for me, but I know a lot of people who like this has helped them have a lot more work in terms of volume, just because they don't have to drive all the way, you know, like all the way down into town and measure out 4 hours for a commute, you know, during LA traffic.
That's true.
So I hope it stays an option, but I also understand that like studios need to stay open and they sort of need to have purpose. So, you know, and they get to control more of the elements while you're there. So,
that's a good point.
Yeah, you know, like I'm thinking we're gonna see like a hybridization, like permanently, of like, oh, you know, like if you can't make it, you know, like let's check out your setup, but we prefer you to come into studio. You know, and you're like, well, I'm feeling safe because I got, you know, vaccinated and I have a mask and all that sort of stuff. And
I think the hybridization is probably the best way to describe it, because like, and you're right, because there's no way that, I mean, if the studio is able to have control those elements, they'll definitely probably wanting to do it. But then now it's like maybe 2 years ago when they're like, oh, I can't make it into the studio. They're like, okay, we got to reschedule because most people didn't have a setup like
right.
nowadays. Now they'll be like, hey,
trying to get a mic was like it was like the Wild West, man. Like,
oh my god, yeah, the mic I'm using now. Yeah, the mic that I was trying to get now, because I got mine in the pandemic too, and I was like, wow, the markup on this. I mean, this is not that expensive, but comparatively,
capitalism sucks.
Yeah, it really does. But yeah, you're right. It was like a wild west and stuff like that. So I definitely understand.
Yeah.
All right, last question. And I'd like to ask this out for all the voice actors here, and if you can, because I know, I mean, it's kind of like a tall question because you have to remember. but what is one of the craziest sentences you have said when you were in the booth? And at least it can be something that you can, one that you remembered, or something that's out of context or out of anything. Like, what's the one that you remember that was like, wow, this is a weird thing to say?
Oh man. Shoot. I wish I prepared for this. Like, I wish I prepared for this question more than any other so I can go back and look at my scripts, but that's tough. I don't know. Like, there's a few out of context where it just sounds, like suggestive. Let's just put it that way.
I love the suggestive ones. Like, it's hilarious though, because it's like, what? Because I forgot what's his name? The voice actor who did Legato in Beastars, like, had one, and I was like, wow, this was really funny though. I mean, if there's one that was like, wow, okay.
Wait, who? Are you talking about Jonah?
Yeah, Jonah. Yeah, Jonah Scott.
Lugosi. Yeah. Okay. Lugosi. Yeah.
Yeah,
no, he and I are buds. We hang out. When he has time, that is.
Look at that.
No, he's busy. I'm really happy though. When the pandemic hit, he rocketed, into the stratosphere with his projects as well as, like, especially Beastars. So I'm really glad for him. But no, I can't think of anything. I think the closest I can think of is, like, there's one that was just like, just put it in and don't worry about it already. Like, okay. Put it in already and don't worry about it. Just do it. Just like, I don't know what it was for, but, like, it just sounded like I was just bending over backwards to, for some bull to, like, anyways, clown me. I don't know. But I remember something like that, right? And so that's as close as I can get to remembering any line.
That is fair. That is fair, but you're right, because, like, it's hilarious, because, like, I'm asking that, like, I have an idea what I'm wanting to do when I'm doing, like, a little collage of this. So it's
oh my goodness.
so I got some people though. It's and I'm getting some that's some good gold though. That's some good gold.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish I had a better one for you, man. I'm so sorry.
Dude, that's good. That is perfect. You did perfect. And Alan, thank you so much for talking with me. It was really fun geeking out with you today. It's awesome. Is there anything you'd like to plug? Like it? Yeah, no problem. Is there anything like to plug a website or, like, projects that you can talk about? I don't know.
Yo, who owns a website? No, actually, what's funny? I do own a website. That's
there
dumb.
You go.
Yeah, no, don't check out my website unless you're there to hire me, right? Or, like,
social media. I don't know.
Social media.
Like,
yeah. I know. I'm just giving you trouble. But
your AOL account.
My AOL account. No. You're gonna hit me up at Alan 2 Horton. I'm joking. Anyways, Twitter. It's Alan Lee VO. Everyone has VO or VA at the end of their freaking name because all our names are taken. It's like, hey, I'm a voice actor, so I'll put VO or whatever. I hate that. I wish I could just get Alan Lee.
Why don't you be like the big one? You should say, like, the Alan Lee. So, like, in all caps or something.
Lee? No, yeah. That's like a joke with all my friends. They all go to me. They're like, wait, are you Alan Lee? The Alan Lee? And I'm like, shut up. I hate all of you.
That's how you know you're prime. You're the primary Alan Lee. There you go.
It became a parody of itself, where it's like it was like it started off as, wait, you're the Alan Lee. Story time. Hold on. I was at a con and I was hanging out with friends, and I was trying to pull some friends from the back of the row of a convention, like, to go to the front, because we were invited to go to the front and just hang out there. So I was like, hey, yo, let's go over there. And some fan randomly recognized me, and you're like, wait, are you Alan Lee? The Alan Lee? And I think at that time I had only done like a couple of things, and I was like, oh yeah, hey, how's it going? And my friends would not shut the fuck up about that shit. And now it's become this thing where it's like, oh my god, it's Alan Lee. Like, it's
oh my god, so that fan did more damage.
No, it's mental damage, man. Yo, he did some mental damage on me. No, it's PTSD. Yeah, I'm back at Nam. What was it? Yeah, so Twitter, it's Alan Lee VO, and then for Instagram, which I should be doing more of, it's Alanator, like at it's Alanator. Yeah, ITS Alanator. And yeah, so what else? Plug in for shows that I'm working. Fenna's out right now, so if you haven't seen it. It's really fun. It's really good. And I can't believe I'm part of that show because it's so beautiful. And I'm just really happy to be a part of it.
They're releasing that kind. Yeah. Is it Toonami? Oh, so it was Crunchyroll Toonami, right?
It was Crunchyroll Toonami. Okay. It was them. It was, the Japanese, the sub is out on Crunchyroll. The dub is out on Toonami. Okay. On Saturdays. So today, we're recording this on a Saturday, but it's going to be on Saturdays for at least the next 2 months, and we'll see what happens after that.
It's actually pretty cool when you think about it. Like you're saying, like throughout like your history, like everything that you've gone through, it's like now it's gone full circle. You played Kohaku.
Right.
now
I'm on Toonami. That's crazy to me. I'm on 2 shows on Toonami at the same time. That's nuts.
That is very true. It's like there you go. See, it's like, well, guys, thank you for. I'm really glad we were able to speak to the Alan Lee.
Oh my god! Please don't start that. Don't make that a thing, man.
Oh god, but guys, if you like this interview, by all means, go and give us a thumbs up or follow us on YouTube, the CFG channel, or you could check us if you could check us out on our main website, confreaksandgeeks.com, to check out the whole podcast list of awesome interviews that we have, just like Alan, as well as other ones that we had on any from our main website, as well as podcast services like Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio. Any of them out there, no reason to not see this. So this is Davis signing off. Y'all take it easy.